Why does it seem like your ex comes back after you've moved on? That's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, my name is Clay from modernlove.life, and today we're going to be talking about all of that and more. But this is where I want to help you to learn how to be loved for who you are without having to play mind games, without having to play hard to get, and without having to pretend to be someone or something that you are not. Because I believe that you deserve to be loved for the person that you are. And if you agree with me, do me a favor by giving this video a thumbs up and by subscribing to the channel if you are not already subscribed. Also, I wanted to let you know that tomorrow I will be posting the details about the group coaching class and also the private one-on-one coaching that we are starting to develop together over the past several weeks. I wanted to thank everybody once again for all of your love, all of your support, all of your enthusiasm, all of your kind words and everything over the past several weeks. I know that this has been a big journey that we've all been on, so I'm really excited to start sharing that with you. Hello, we have somebody with a lot of enthusiasm there in the comments section. Yeah, so what's going on? Why does your ex come back after you have moved on? And I know there's a lot of kind of cynical, jaded advice out there that's, kind of one half cynicism, one half fortune cookie advice that says that your ex comes back because, we all want what we can't have. And if you move on, if you ignore your ex, then they're going to come back over broken shards of glass in order to be with you or something like that, right? And the truth is that that's not really true. And I also don't want you to start to listen too much to this cynical advice, because the more that you listen to the cynical advice, the more of a cynical person you're going to become, and that is not a very good setup for a great, wonderful, healthy relationship in the long run. So let's look at why your ex actually does come back after you have started to move on. The first reason that this might happen is because you are not in damage control mode any longer. Damage control mode is that emotional place that probably most people find themselves in initially after a breakup, where there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of essentially being in damage control mode. And it causes you to do a lot of things and say a lot of things that maybe you might later on regret. Maybe like calling or texting a million times, maybe begging and pleading and all of that stuff. And if you've been around for like more than a day, you probably know that that's not going to help you get back together with your ex. And the reason why this isn't because you're too available or anything like that. It's because you're essentially operating from a place of using your ex as a means to an end to fulfill your own agenda. That's to say, you feel bad, you want to be in a relationship, therefore you want your ex to say, yeah, let's get back together. But you're not accounting for where your ex is at emotional. You're not accounting for how your ex feels in that moment. You're not accounting for all the pain and the hurt that your ex may still be holding on to. And so as the result of that, your ex is not actually being seen or heard, and so they are not receptive to the idea of being in a relationship with you. Why would they want to be in a relationship with somebody who is not willing to hear them out, who's not really willing to see where they're at emotionally, who's not really willing to actually listen to what they want without having some sort of hidden agenda, without trying to steer this towards some sort of goal of getting back together? And that's why I often tell people to try to let go of the hidden agenda of getting back together with your ex and to be more focused on actually seeing if there's the possibility for an emotional connection between the two of you. After all, if there is an emotional connection between the two of you, then the getting back together will happen organically and naturally. Whereas if you try and force the relationship to happen, force the commitment to happen, the connection is not necessarily going to be there. So if what you really want is the connection, what you really want is the closeness, if what you really want is all the good things that you think that being in a relationship is going to bring you, why not just go for those as opposed to trying to get the relationship and then hoping that the connection, the commitment, the love, and all that stuff is there. So anyway, getting out of damage control mode is one thing that can happen as somebody starts to move on, as somebody starts to open themselves up to, possibilities of life without their ex, possibilities of things moving forward in their life, in their world, in their experience, and all of that. And as somebody starts to get out of damage control mode, they're changing the way that they're bringing themselves to interacting with the world, to interacting with their ex, to interacting with other people. to the point that there isn't that ulterior motive, that hidden agenda. And because that hidden agenda isn't there, because you're not using your ex as a means to an end to get what you want, there's a whole lot more spaciousness when it comes to interacting with you. And as you bring this spaciousness to the interactions, as you show up as a more spacious person through your way of being, your ex is probably going to be a little bit more receptive, a little bit more open, a little bit more entertaining of the possibility of having some sort of positive interaction with you. So this is why you want to work on getting out of damage control mode, not because your ex is going to come crawling back because we all want and can't have, and you need to play hard to get, but because the way that you're bringing yourself to the interaction is actually kind of constrictive, at least if you're in damage control mode, and it is causing your ex to not be seen and heard by you such that they are closed emotionally towards wanting to interact with you, towards wanting to be with you. And if you simply fix this small little thing, sometimes that can be all it takes to really crack open your ex and get them to actually want to interact with you, whether or not, it's been a long time, whether or not you're buying into this fortune cookie advice of we all want what we can't have and time heals all wounds and all that stuff. But it's really based off of your way of being, and that's something that you can actively work on rather than just waiting for time to somehow magically, miraculously, serendipitously heal all wounds. Anyway, that's the first thing. The second thing has more to do with your ex. And just like how you might find yourself in damage control mode after a breakup, your ex is going to be going through a similar, very intense and charged emotional experience following a breakup as well, too. And because of this, they might be clinging on to a lot of hurt and a lot of pain from the breakup, from things that led up to the breakup and all of that. Like we mentioned in some of our previous videos, I think on Friday's video, your ex probably had to create an image of you that was worth breaking up with in their mind. Nobody likes to think of themselves as the kind of person that goes out there and hurts other people, that causes people pain, that makes them, sometimes even cry, which may have actually happened if your ex broke up with you. And so in order to justify breaking up with you, your ex has to sometimes exaggerate, distort, delete, generalize certain aspects of your behavior, certain aspects of your relationship in order to make them seem bad enough to warrant breaking up with you. And so, maybe those were somewhat accurate. Maybe they were just completely fabricated. Maybe they were entirely accurate. Maybe they were just completely pulled out of thin air. I don't know. But your ex is going up against this version of you in their mind that's worth breaking up with. And that may not be you. That may not be the actual person that you are right here today. And just know that there's that fundamental disconnect, right? And so what can happen is through the passage of a certain amount of time, or through the passage of you bringing yourself to the interaction in a different way, such as what we talked about with getting out of damage control mode and all of that stuff, your way of being and all that stuff a few moments ago, your ex might start to let go of that previous image of you that they created in their mind to justify breaking up with you. And so as this happens, your ex might become more receptive to interacting with you, more receptive towards looking back at the memories that they had with you through a positive lens, through a positive light. And as they start to see you and see maybe the experiences that you had, the memories you had, the time that you shared together through maybe a more realistic way, where it's not like some sort of living nightmare that they had to manufacture in their mind in order to justify breaking up with you, but they start to say, yeah, maybe we had our issues, but we did have that nice summer together. We, shared, he was supportive when I was going through the hard time. She helped me when I was really preparing for my final exams or whatever it might be. And then as they start to see this in a more accurate way, they can start to relate to you in a more accurate way, as opposed to as this, awful ogre that they needed to see you as in order to break up with you. And so it's as they start to let go of these emotions following the breakup, either by their own personal healing or by you bringing yourself in a different way, they might start to actually want to interact with you more. And so it's not that there's this cynical, weird rule out there that we all want what we can't have, or that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, or they always come back in the end, or whatever fortune cookie advice you may have heard out there. But it's really based off of the emotional context that this is all happening within. It's really based off of how you're bringing yourself to the interactions, how your ex is perceiving you, how they're perceiving the image of you in their mind, and all of that. And if you can start to look at these dynamics and start to change them a little bit at a time, you can suddenly find that your ex is more interested in interacting with you, more interested in opening up to you, more interested in possibly even seeing what the two of you might be able to create together on a relationship level. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you just need to sit around idly waiting for time to pass or waiting for you to move on so that through, some like weird superstition, they're going to come back or something like that. You can actually be an active participant in this. Anyway, that's for the main chunk of the content here today. If you like what we're doing, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It does help me out. Be sure to subscribe so you can get more videos like this in the future. And once again, if you are interested in coaching, either personal one-on-one coaching or group coaching, I'm going to be releasing more info on that tomorrow, but there is a link in the description where you can see a little bit more about what I'm thinking. I'll have the details solidified, and hopefully tomorrow I can tell you more about all of that. And if you're interested and it seems like a good fit for you, you're more than welcome to sign up. If not, no big deal. Anyway, with that being said, let's see what folks are talking about. Somebody said, "Yeah, it's live." Yeah, I've been doing live streams for, geez, how long? Maybe like 3 months or so. Yeah. Anyway, it's live. James says, wishing she will come back after I make a no contact to her and block her in all social media. Someday I will unblock her when the time is right, when both of us have had time and space. Yeah, if you're not emotionally ready to interact with your ex, you probably should not be interacting with your ex. I know that there's this superstition that everybody should do no contact as a response to anything that your ex does or doesn't do, but totally not true. The only time you should be doing no contact is if interacting with your ex is not bringing you closer together and if it's actually bringing you further apart. Obviously, if that's happening, something's not working, and you should be using no contact as a way of stepping back and saying, what is not working? What can I do to make things actually bring us closer together? And that's when no contact is a valuable thing to do. But not everybody needs to do no contact. If interacting is actually bringing you closer together, doing no contact can actually be a setback. Let's see, what is that? My contacts are kind of blurry today. I think it's Sarah. Sarah says, breakup 3 months ago, no contact 3 weeks until yesterday. She reached out saying that she lost her ID recently and if I could let her know if she gets mail. Sure, I'd do that. Was that an excuse to text me? Maybe. It could be. It's really tough to know without knowing a little bit more of the context of her personality, of if the two of you had a big blowout breakup or something like that. It could be an excuse to contact you. It could also just be because, that's really what happened. She lost her ID and she, used to live with you, so she wanted to know if she got any mail from you or something like that. And maybe you were just the only person that she knows in the area or the person that she trusts the most to actually handle this sort of thing. And so she just decided, hey, I'm going to contact you. It's really hard to say. It could have been just a totally pragmatic thing, or it could have been an excuse to contact you. I don't know. But those are the two possibilities that I see as being most likely. Okay, what else we got? I tried some tips on no contact, but it has not worked. She is now living with her new partner after 7 months apart, still in contact, but a few minutes have here and there. I'm still very stuck. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to no contact, again, there is a lot of superstition when it comes to no contact in this part of the internet. No contact is not some sort of magic cure-all that you need to use whenever anything happens. No contact does have its time and place. Like I said, the appropriate time to use no contact is when interacting with your ex is not bringing you closer together, so that you have the space to stop doing whatever's not working and to start looking at what you could be doing differently that could actually work better. I know that there are a lot of schools of thought when it comes to no contact. Some people say that you should use no contact as a way of like punishing your ex for like not texting you back fast enough, for dating other people, for being mean to you or something like that. But that's like, I don't want you to just turn your brain off and just like go for no contact whenever anything happens. I want you to stay present. I want you to stay in the moment. I want you to be able to ascertain and feel into the moment to know what the right thing to do is, because no contact is not always going to be the right thing to do. For example, no contact can sometimes send the message of when the going gets tough, I give up. When the going gets tough, I pull away. And that is not a very strong relationship signal to be sending out. You know, if you want to have a great, strong, healthy relationship that lasts into the long run, you probably don't want to have it with somebody who's going to pull away and shut down every time something bad happens, every time something gets tough, every time there's some sort of challenge or obstacle. So you need to know when no contact is the right thing to do and when no contact is the wrong thing to do, and you need to be able to tell the difference, and you need to be able to respond accordingly. So again, I don't know if no contact is the right thing for you to do if your ex is in a rebound relationship or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I need to know more about the situation in order to really make that call. Let's see what else folks are talking about. Still have plenty of time. Yep, okay. Katerina says, we'll wait for your advice. I did not see a question there, Katerina, so I cannot answer that. Got some people talking amongst themselves. Hello from Orlando. Hello. I've never been to Florida. I don't know, I've been feeling like really pulled towards Florida for some reason. Never been there myself, so I can't comment on it. I know some people love it, some people hate it. I have no opinion as somebody who's never been there. Never received any reply to the small, I filled up the questions. Okay. Melanie, don't know what you're saying there, so if you could maybe clear that up. Helen says, hello, Clay. Sorry, I missed you. LOL. I've been so busy. Good to see you. Hello, Helen. For those of you that don't know, when I first started live streaming, Helen was very consistently showing up on most of the live streams, and I just wanted to really extend my appreciation to Helen for all of that. You know, no worries. You know, if you happen to be available when I go live stream, cool. If not, no big deal. You can always watch the replay. You can always skip this one. No big deal. But thanks again for showing up. Where did we leave off? Okay. Again, sorry guys, I know that these comments show up really neat and organized on your end, but for me they are these small little bubbles that disappear after a few seconds, and I need to keep scrolling to make sure they do not disappear. Zach says, hey Clay, my ex wants to work things out with me and move back in together, possibly as we are expecting our third child here in January. Well, congratulations, guys. But she has feelings for another guy, and who she left me for before. What do I do? Okay, so you gotta get clear on this with her. Okay, so she's interested in moving back together with you, but she also has feelings for somebody else, right? So there's like two possibilities, and you know, everybody has these possibilities in their life from time to time. And you know, it's like, do I take this job here? Do I take this job here? Do I move to this place? Do I move to that place? Do I date this person? Do I date that person? Do I get back together with you? Do I see what's possible with this other person? And you want to really stop and like figure out what's going on with her. Is she just doing this because, you know, maybe the two of you are going to have a kid together and maybe she thinks it's the right thing to do? Or is it because she actually has like genuine like emotional feelings for you and she really wants to make things work, but she just has like torn feelings or something like that? Or like actually have a conversation with her and try to figure out what's going on. And to the degree that it's possible, make sure that you strengthen that emotional connection between you and her so that she has more of a reason, more of a motive, more of a good cause to want to actually work things out with you aside from just, you know, the kid. And if that's something that you can do, that's really going to help in the long run. But that's really the best advice that I can give you at this point without knowing like a whole lot more about your situation. You really want to make sure that the emotional foundation between the two of you is strongest such that she wants to get back together with you because she has like strong feelings for you rather than just out of a sense of obligation. Again, I don't know if that's the case because you didn't really mention that in your comment, but that's really what I want to make sure that you do. And kind of depending on where she's at in the whole spectrum of getting back together, it sounds like she could be maybe at riding the dragon or the crisis point, but if she is at the crisis point, at that point in time, you really want to start to do the whole fork in the road strategy to kind of really help her to decide. Because when she's at the crisis point, there's like, she has strong feelings for you. She really does like being with you, but she's getting to the point where she has to actually start to make some real rearrangements in her life in order to make that happen. She has to, maybe like end things with this other guy or something like that. And that's where she starts to maybe get a little bit of cold feet because it's like, okay, is this real? Can I trust Zach that this is going to really work out in the long run and all of that? And so that's the point where you really want to use the fork in the road strategy. You do not want to use it sooner than that because you probably don't have the emotional foundation to really have that work out well. So only use it if you're like really sure that this is the crisis point. But that's probably what I do beyond just strengthening that emotional foundation is really kind of putting some positive pressure on her to hopefully choose you between you and this other guy at that point. But anyway, that's what I'd recommend for that. Let's see if we can do like maybe one more question. Coming up on 22 minutes here in a few moments. Let's see, where did we leave off? There's Zach, okay. Brad says, my wife tells me to move on now that she has a guy that she has been staying with for a month and a half. And she wants to sell the house, and I still love her. She hates me, and I can't get past her wall. Okay, yeah, again, so it's like what I said before. Your ex, your wife, has this image of you that she had to create in her mind to break up with. I don't know, maybe that's an accurate image. Maybe you really were like some sort of raging jerk or something like that before. I'm not saying that to offend you or anything. It's just, sometimes we don't really realize how negatively our actions and behaviors are until maybe we lose them. And then that can be like the wake-up call that's like, oh, okay, I need to get my act together. I need to actually not take someone for granted anymore. Or maybe it's just completely manufactured. Maybe it's some mix between reality and fantasy. I don't know. But you really want to demonstrate to her that you're not the guy that she thinks she was when she broke up with you. And additionally, she's probably also wanting some space from you because she is in a relationship with somebody else, and she really wants to believe that she has given that new relationship the best chance that she possibly can for it to succeed. And so she's probably using that as another reason for wanting some space. So what I'd probably do is tell her, number one, first of all, before we get to number one, the real number one is make sure that you're not the same person that she broke up with. Make sure that you are not the same person, the same Brad that she left, okay? Show up consistently as somebody else. Don't just use this as some sort of trick, some sort of gimmick, some sort of whatever to try and fake it, but actually make this a real, meaningful change and continue to show up that way. And eventually she'll start to trust that this is really who you are, that maybe her opinion of you was misguided, that it was inaccurate or something like that, and she can start to let go of that pain, let go of all that stuff. And beyond that, I'd also recommend that you kind of detach yourself and detach her from any sort of hidden agenda, right? So she might think that you are really wanting to work things out, really wanting to get back together, really wanting to save your marriage and all of that. And, I totally understand that you may genuinely feel that way. But like I was mentioning earlier, you don't want to have that hidden agenda because then it kind of comes across as like, hey, I don't care how you feel. This is what I want, and I'm going to continue to push for it regardless of how you feel. That doesn't feel good. So what I want you to do is I want you to shift the focus back on the connection rather than on your agenda. And in so doing this, you might end up saying something like, hey, I think that we should just be friends for the time being, and something like that. And I know a lot of people are really worried about the friend zone, but the friend zone is very unlikely going to happen between you and your ex. I've actually never heard of anyone being like legitimately in the friend zone with their ex before. it's like once attraction is on, it's just kind of like on, and they're always going to see you through that romantic lens because of all the intimacy that you've had, because of all the years that you've shared together, because of all the memories that you've shared together and all of that. I'm not willing to say it's outside the realm of possibility, but if somebody goes through like a dramatic physical change or like massive personality break where they're like unrecognizable in a negative way, I could see like attraction actually going out the window, but I've never actually experienced that with any client of my own or any person that I've ever worked with in a personal experience. So don't worry about that. But just if you put yourself in the friend zone, so to speak, you are going to be shifting the focus from your hidden agenda of getting back together and focus it more on the connection, focus it on just being friends. And you're also going to be giving her a reason to tell herself why she's getting together with you, why she's talking to you, why she's spending time with you. And it's not going to be a lie, because what's important to you is the connection, not just the fact that you are like in a relationship, not just the fact that you are still married, but that the two of you actually have a connection together. So I'm assuming that's true. It's absolutely not a lie. It's totally, absolutely valid. And it's going to allow you to have more time, more exposure to her, more permission to spend time with her. It's going to allow her to have more permission to spend time with you, to actually rebuild the connection and to see what's possible between the two of you. Anyway, hope it helps you out, Brad. With that being said, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, if you like what we are doing, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I'll be sharing with you the details on the coaching experience tomorrow, hopefully, assuming I can get everything figured out. But thanks so much. I'll be